Good morning. This is Washboard Jim, the Singing Day Trader. I want to say hello to everybody, and we're going to talk about the VWAP, how to set it up on the scan, and how to use the VWAP. So I use Thinkorswim TOS platform, and on that Thinkorswim TOS platform, this is my scan right here for the VWAP. I can go to Scan, and there you have your setup. You have last from 90 cents up to $10, the volume of 400,000 and above, and then the VWAP scan. And the way you find the VWAP scan is you go to Study, Filter, you open up the filter, you go to Popular Studies, and under Popular Studies you have the VWAP scan already set up for you. So you just click on that, and there you are. Then after you're done with that, just hit Save, and then you're set up. And then when you want to save it, after you do that, you hit Scan. Then if you want to save it, go into Save Scan Inquiry. Then you type in how you want to title it and hit Save. It says I already have one, so there I am. So I can take and transfer this over to my watch list, which I have right here. I'm going to ahead and put this on chart, and then I have my daily 1-minute chart set up with my RSI crossover, my RSI rating here. I have my level 2, I have my news, and I have my time and sales. So I'm able to go from here. I've got it linked with red to this chart here, so anytime I see something running, I can just click on that, and that gives me my chart. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the VWAP, and we're going to talk about the VWAP now. That's how you save the scan. So everybody knows what the VWAP is, or you should know, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you what it is. The volume weighted average price, VWAP. It's exactly the way it sounds. The average price weighted by volume. The VWAP equals the dollar value of all trading periods divided by the total trading volume of that current day. The calculation starts first thing in the morning and ends at close. It is good for it's one of the most reliable tools I have as a day trader. I can always play that bottom part of the VWAP line as support, the center line as a pivot point, and the top line as a resistance. So we're looking at different stocks. I'm going to look at CRON right now. That's the one we were watching on the VWAP Friday, CRON. And then I got a couple others I want to pull up too. CRON, right out of the gate, sold off almost to my support level at 620. So it created a little support level right around 625, right around in this area, right around 626. And I see how it kind of accumulated here pre-market. So it ran on up and hit the resistance level at that third line VWAP, and then came back and pulled back. Well, I'm bullish on CRON right now. It got upgraded, and the legalization of marijuana for recreational use in Canada is another catalyst. And I always look at my news. Price target raised to 750. About a month ago, the fat cats were saying the smart money got out. Well, I got in. It's just because I'm bullish on this stock. I don't just, I watch a stock for months and months and months. Then I put up my level 2, and also I have my time and sales, and this is exactly how my chart looks. The time and sales comes down through here, trickles down, and I got my level 2. I can judge the spread, and then I got my catalyst over here, which is the news. And then my other catalyst is the RSI crossovers that I use on the simple, fresh but simple chart. The yellow lines are my extended trend lines that I've mastered over many years. And I can keep using these same trend lines for a sequence of a long period of time, or I can add new trend lines if I'm looking at a day trade. And I'm going to change the time, and I'm going to show you what I mean by my extended trend lines. I'm going to go to a 20-day chart. Now see, I've been playing these resistances up here back at this time. I was calling, my trend lines, and then when it pulled back, I drew, these are old existing trend lines that can go back farther. And I'll pull a year's chart up, and it was going to look funky with the VWAP, but there's all my extended trend lines for a whole year. It's kind of messy here, but it unclouds once you go down to a shorter time frame. And I use these as supports and resistances. My pivot point on this stock here has been right around 653, right around in here. So we were oversold for about 20 days. And when it got down to my low support in the room, I was calling out 567. And we hit it here, we hit it here, we hit it here, and we hit it here. And then the upgrade came out, and we got in before the upgrade even hit the news belt, because we're bullish on this stock. And now that we run up to resistance, was a time to sell. We hit that resistance a few times right up in here, pulled back, landed on the VWAP. Now let me change this to a 1 minute time frame. A 1 day, 1 minute time frame. So we're out of the gate. It runs up. I'm still bullish on this stock, so I'd either stay in it right here, which one of my entry levels about a couple weeks, or it was back in a way at 136, 132. Then it dipped on down below $6. So we run up to my resistance level, which is right around here, the pivot point between the channel that I have between $6 and $7. I already have this in my mind. So I'm telling the room, once we hit 665, it might be a good idea to go ahead and scale out and pull back and play off the VWAP, or go ahead and hold, because it's going to bounce back up, and we're going to have, so we hit that VWAP really 4 different times. We had a fake out here. We have this double RSI crossover. This is an indicator that I use quite often. The divergence is moving up on it. You have a bottom lower support on the VWAP, and then you have a bigger, let me raise this up a little bit so we can see it. But we have a double fake out, and these are some of my most favorite moves right here. I go ahead and I let it dip on down, then I let it climb up, and it's going to pull back. And when it pulls back and hits that line, if it don't go below it, it's bullish to me. So that was a great time to get in right there. As you see, I had my indicator shine up on the window here, and it bounced on up, bounced past, and then pulled back and hit the VWAP, then bounced on up. And by this time, I was already starting to see a little declining. We were right here, and so we were starting to decline. The lower highs, see how they were getting lower and lower and lower. So I'm going to draw me a little trend line right about here. And we started bouncing up there at the end. I'm going to go ahead and take that off there for right now. Put back on my other trend line. It does the prices over here. I'm going to pull this down. And then we bounced up. So there was a good exit point. Back to the VWAP. Up. Then the lower highs keep presenting themselves. And then we had a little correction right here. So once that RSI dipped down again, it was another buying opportunity if you didn't get in this trade last night and maybe wanted, or Friday, and wanted to swing it. So it bounced back up, and then you had 3 possible swing trade flips out of this. You had, scalper trades out of this, and then you had this morning trade you could have got in and stayed in and run it all the way up to resistance. And my resistance was, pivot point was right here at 653. So this is CRON. I'm still bullish on CRON. My target is $7. Pull back maybe around 625, 630. if it has a hard knife. If not, play it off the VWAP. So all next week I'm going to be teaching the room about the VWAP and how to play on it. And I'm going to be alerting stocks that I think are momentum plays, and they bounce off that VWAP. So that's CRON. And then I'm going to look at JNUG and see JNUG was a play Friday. JNUG bounced up, followed that support level on that bottom line VWAP pre-market. I'm looking at this stock and I'm thinking to myself that this thing's way oversold. I usually play this stock up in this area. $11 I had a low support at, about right around in, I can't remember on a yearly chart, but I got this charted up for a year, and I've been playing the same extended trend lines in this area right in here for months. And then when we had this hard sell-off, which to me was unnecessary, but it matches the dollar value, it's a gold play, more or less figured out we hit a bottom Friday. So we had a double dip, and then I called the stock at 736. Had a few people, put me down on it, and I said, no. I said, I'll bet you this thing closes up right around $8 or something. And that's where we ended up. We ended up closing right around $8 after hours. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and show you how this runs. So we come up here and we run up against the VWAP and we hit resistance. We follow that resistance line all the way up to the top. And then probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the day, we had a pullback. And it pulled right back to the VWAP area. So here's your entry right now at this trade. If you're watching the volume and you're watching the tape in the level 2 right around 760, and it ran all the way up to 790. There's a 30-cent flip. So we pulled right back to my extended trend line, which bounced off that extended trend line, bounced back up to the top, and every top was getting higher and higher and higher. And then I always tell everybody not to get complacent in a trade, especially if you're day trading. So if you had a successful trade with it, it pulled back to the VWAP, then you got back in it, and you sold again. Start throwing a little bit of patience in the path. And then we had the pull back to support, and it bounced up. So I'm giddily eyed. We're getting higher lows and we're getting higher highs, and then we start to level off a little bit. Then we had the pullback, and it tested the VWAP right here, bounced up, but I was watching the tape, and it went ahead and pulled on back. So the VWAP, which at one time was a support, had failed the support pattern and became a resistance. So once it broke below the VWAP, I was waiting for it to touch this bottom line. This bottom line right here on the third line VWAP, and it bounced right up to my extended trend line that I already had charted up at 755. Now I've learned this pattern. This didn't take overnight. It took me years to develop this system of my extended trend lines. And a lot of traders use it. I just use it over the Fibonacci's because I think they're more accurate. So we bounced from the bottom V line and touched that old resistance. And then we pulled back down again, and this is on JNUG, and we hit that bottom line VWAP again. So this is double tested now. We've double tested this here support level. And then we bounced on up, and it hit resistance again. So there's your exit point. So from here at 731, you could have got out right at 768, and that's where my targeted resistance would be. And I see something right now that I'm going to go ahead and draw in. You see this level right here where that RSI crossover happened? Well, you're building a little trend right there. And I'm looking over here and I see this. See? And I see this. So I'm going to draw me a trend line right now. And I'm going to find me a new support. Now, if you notice that new support, new resistance, come awful close to hitting this VWAP, and then you had a little consolidation right here in this period right in here, a little consolidation period right in here, and it pulled back to that support level at 755, which I posted earlier, just a few minutes ago on this chart. So there's me a new support at 755, and I have 753 already in my head, right about in there. So after that, I'm telling these guys, I said, we've double tested the bottom line on here. We're oversold. This is going to run on up past the VWAP. Came back just a little bit, and there was my big indicator saying I'm long in this stock right here because I hit that support level again. Tested right here. So that to me was a very strong indication that we were going to go ahead and run up into about 8:15 after hours. And so that's JNUG. And these are just a few simple ways that I do use the VWAP. I make it fresh, I make it simple, and I make it clean. I like to make my charts real clean. But I have other indicators that I use too. I have the 50-day SMA, which I use on a yearly chart, and I use on a daily, 1 minute. And then this one, I was saying the same thing. We got this going right here. Then we had the RSI Golden Cross, on the SMA. And I'm following the RSIs down here at the bottom, looking for a buy entry because the volume was in JNUG Friday. People will recognize, we finally hit a bottom, and it was a no-brainer, especially if and I've followed this stock for many years, and this is how so I got my 50-day SMA. You see what happens when we cross down over the 200. We have a sell-off. Then when we start to cross up, is a buying opportunity for me because I'm already in my head thinking we're going to have us a golden cross. And once we hit that golden cross at 757 was another trigger to get back in this stock right before close. I was already in it at 736 and I held my position all day long. I wasn't too worried about this trade. Once we hit this thing right here, we bounced up, pulled back, and to me that was a double test, and it was worthy of the trade. And so we bounced on up, and it respected the 50-day all the way up into close, and still respecting that 50-day. It's not rejected it. It rejected the 200. So this is JNUG, and this is just one other indicator. If the VWAP's not in use, I use my SMAs. And then I got my EMAs that I use, and I got them timed at a 5, 15 minute, and 30 minute. And then I have my VWAP chart right over here to the right, just in case my EMAs ain't working correctly. And I've got them in a 1 minute daily time frame, all 4 of these charts. And I still carry, I put my time and sales up here so I can still watch the time and sales. I can watch the VWAP, I can check the news, and I can watch my level 2. So that's my little lesson on the VWAP chart. It's good to have in your arsenal. It's a slow stochastic that I like to use. It reminds me of using my SMAs. If you want a fast one, you use the EMAs for a day trade. So this is Wash, the Singing Day Trader. Keep it fresh, keep it simple. On the bottom of my YouTube channel, you can follow me in Stock Twits and Twitter. And I want to wish everybody a great week. And remember, the VWAP is a very reliable source for a day trader. A lot of fat cats use this over the EMAs even. They rely on the VWAP. So I want to wish everybody a good day. And see you next week, or this coming week. Remember, keep it fresh and keep it simple, and keep that VWAP chart on your arsenal. And have a good day.